Hi, how's everyone today? Thank you so much for joining this discussion. My name is Jeff Paris. I head up the MegaGrants group at Epic Games, and we're delighted to be able to spend some time with you today. Like many of you, I'm coming to you from my home office, so thanks for taking the time to log in and join. Wish we could be live in person with you, and here's to future events where we can see each other in person. In the meantime, I'll just share with you that I'm thrilled to have this opportunity. I think I might have the greatest job in the world, and I feel incredibly fortunate every day about the people that I work with and the company that I work for. I'm going to walk you through about 12 slides. There'll be plenty of time at the end for Q&A, so feel free to chime in. And our intention is to give you a nice intro, a couple of case studies and samples, and a little bit of real life user tips or best practices in terms of submitting a MegaGrants application. We welcome applicants from all over the world. To date, we've received applications from over 100 countries, so I think that's a fascinating data point. And we hope to hear from folks like you sometime soon. What I'll do now is launch into what we call our sizzle reel or demo reel, and it's a short, about 1 minute and 10-second overview of some of the more recent exciting recipients of MegaGrants in the last year and a half. So please enjoy this video, and I'll come back on the other side and walk you through the balance of the presentation. Thanks so much. Wasn't that fantastic? So thanks for watching that. As you can tell, a great selection of different recipients over time, highlighting some amazing uses of the Unreal Engine, both in game and non-game environments. And you probably recognize and maybe know some of those organizations. Let's talk about at a high level what MegaGrants is. And so this slide here sort of tease it right up. It's $100 million announced by Epic and Tim Sweeney last year at the GDC event in 2019. A really phenomenal commitment, slated as being a 5-year commitment to the industry in what the company refers to very directly as a no strings attached grant fund. No strings attached, so this is not angel investment or venture money. These are grants designed to support game devs, professionals, creators, animators, designers, educators, students, and tool developers, particularly open source tools that will do greater good for the community, give people that little nudge that they might need to get to the next level or to get to their first release. Super exciting and an amazing opportunity. So we're about 18 months old at this point. Nearing 18 months old. And as I said a few moments ago, the MegaGrants group has received applications from over 100 countries around the world. Truly an astonishing and humbling experience. And we have received just some extraordinary concepts, ideas, prototypes, and presentations. So we're really honored to be in the role we are. And it is indeed $100 million, which is a substantial commitment. On my next slide, sort of this really says it all. Photo of our humble founder, Tim, and he really was really kind of just on point and succinct in his point here. Our success is inextricably linked to developer success. So what better way to create the next generation's leaders, developers, creators, teachers? What better way to do that than to provide some funds when they really need it, when they're in a position where they have an amazing use for the Unreal Engine or a phenomenal prototype, and they've got a concept and traction and an idea and maybe some developers, and they just need a little bit more firepower or a couple more milestones. That's exactly what this is targeted for. And we'll talk through some examples today and some tips that we think are sort of best practices. So hopefully we'll go through that, and they'll be featured in a few slides from now. This next slide is really just our badge. It's something we're proud of. All MegaGrant recipients get use of this for their own media or materials or website or social media or demos or other forms of presentation and marketing that they do. And again, something that we just think is super cool and brag worthy. So there's an example of that. What I'm going to walk through now is another video, and I won't let the whole piece run. It's a video by Wonderling, which is a grant recipient from early on in our process. And what's super neat about this is it's an indie group, so we love supporting indie groups. It's a really phenomenal use of 2D technology within the Unreal Engine. We talk quite a bit about 3D and photorealistic development, and even exciting things like digital humans. So some of the quality that we're seeing is just extraordinary. And we thought this was a really clever use of 2D work, so we wanted to feature it. We also thought the use case was terrific. This is a great use case that was broadening the utilization. This group, Wonderling, wanted to convert over to the Nintendo Switch to broaden the audience. So I'll let this run for a few moments, and I'll come back to you on the back side of this video.
You're a goon of a video game boss. Stop the hero. You can't stop walking. But you can jump. New abilities. Dash through levels.
All right. So hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of that. And again, we love the design work there. We love that there's a 2D application and a great example of the MegaGrant support for what is a nice indie studio, something we're super excited about. I'll stay on this page for a couple of minutes. It gives you a little bit more of a sense of breadth. To date, there have actually been over 600 MegaGrant recipients, over 600 from around the world. So we're incredibly proud of that. We think that number will exceed 1,000 before the end of this calendar year in 2020. And that's from among almost 9,000 applicants to date. So the hit rate is still less than 10%. But tremendous number of applications, and super proud of what's out there so far. Let me touch on 2 or 3 of these just to give the group a bit more of an example. You see the logo for Cesium down there, a Canadian group, a tremendous enterprise use of our Unreal Engine, and really focused on some amazing simulation work, geospatial, fly through, tremendous uses for anything related to flying. You see on the right there, NSR, that's No Straight Roads, a really exciting, cool game out of Asia, out of Kuala Lumpur, and a group that we really feel excited about. So that's one great example. You see the neat logo sort of looks like a brain there on the lower right. Center for Brain Health out of Texas. Again, a really innovative use of Unreal for both education and healthcare. So something we're really proud of supporting. And then loads of wonderful education applications come through. And I'll flag the Mountain West Community and Technical College. This is in West Virginia in the United States. And again, an example of groups using Unreal for curriculum development, deploying training, and learning so that we can broaden our footprint. I think what I like about that one in particular is a really thoughtful, organized application. And we want to put out education funding for groups that are committed to broadening the learning, adding art, design, technical to areas where they may not have had a curriculum 5-10 years ago, may not have had an advocate for this. And so if we, through the MegaGrant program, can support that, we think that makes a ton of sense and another great example. Again, this group here on the slide is from among the 600 or so, and we expect that number to grow substantially before the end of 2020. Next slide. So a couple things to touch on here in terms of, what are some uses? What are some good best practices or tips? So take these next 3 or 4 slides as guidelines. Is there any guarantee? No. Will these always work even if you execute on them perfectly? I don't think so. So in the end, there's a detailed review process. There are committees involved. So it's not just one person who might have a good day or a bad day internally. There's truly a review process. But I do strongly believe that these next 3 or 4 points could position you more effectively, or could give you that additional leg up to accomplishing your objective in applying for a MegaGrant. So the first one is it a good use of the Unreal Engine? Tell us about that. Be clear about it. Show it off. Be as specific as you can. Is it a conversion? There's obviously others out there that are competitors. Let us hear where you are on your process of deploying Unreal. Is that something new, or you're contemplating it next month, or you've already got some prototypes set up and you need the funding to get your team in place and a little bit of technical learning and tweaking? Any of those are great. Don't feel like you need to be an expert. Don't feel like you need to be a ninja with this. We just want to know where you are, and is it a good use of Unreal? There's loads of great examples out there, but highlighting that will certainly be something that we would recommend. Next one, does it support the community? Is it something maybe that's open source? Will it potentially make everyone along this ecosystem a little bit better, a little bit stronger? Terminology, if you're familiar with it, a rising tide will lift all boats. Maybe you've heard that term before. This is very Epic in terms of culture. It's very Tim in terms of culture, and it's a great way to be. Does your initiative widely support the community? We want to grow the community. Not everyone has access to the same resources or tools or hardware. What are you developing, and how will it have a ripple effect or an impact on other groups' development? Tools are a tremendous example of this, and we've funded some really exciting tool solutions. So just an example there. How does it support the wider community? Try and touch on that if it's relevant to your application. Growth plans. What's your longer term plan? Remember, this is a MegaGrant application, not a venture capital pitch. So when we say growth plans, we're not necessarily looking for your Excel spreadsheet, although understanding budget is important. We really want to see your vision. How can you amplify things through this grant and grow your success exponentially in whatever metric makes sense, whether it's product development, user acquisition, new generation or new season, expansion into other geographies, or cross-play, taking it directly from PC into platforms or devices or mobile. Help us understand how you're going to grow. Be as clear as you can and as precise as you can so that we understand, what is your vision here, not just for the immediate 30 days, but where might this take you? I think if you can be explicit around that, that shows your thought, it shows your planning and vision, and that you've really invested the energy to sharpen your business model. Again, highly recommended. Next slide is really just around passion and energy. We need to sort of extract that from your application. There's all sorts of ways to do it. If you're submitting video or a prototype, in the language you use when you map out a plan or milestones, telling us about your team and who they are and why they're the best team for what you're trying to accomplish, or why you've been passionate about this for the last few years. And now with this MegaGrant, you can get over the next goal line or the next milestone. It's really, really important to bring your energy and passion to your application so that we can see it, so that it leaps off the page. A number of groups have been quite good at this in terms of really spelling out why they're so excited about this, or why they've made their career decision that's taken them to where they are today. Again, bring that through your energy, through your application, through any YouTube or Vimeo videos that you're able to attach. All of that will go a long way. Next tips here, I won't read all of them verbatim, but this is a bit of a highlight here. So we're sort of summarizing. I think if you can touch on the points we talked about for growth and community, touch on your use of Unreal, touch on whether this is a conversion over to Unreal or whether you've been on that for a while. Map out your plan a little bit, including the budgeted spend. I don't think you need to get into deep headcount discussions or be precise, but particularly for the larger grants, be mindful of what you're budgeting it for. If you help us understand it, rather than just putting a round number on the application, I think it's always clearer. Give us a little bit of that visual. Even again, if your budget categories are broad, that's totally acceptable and fine. But give us that energy, that detail, and any prototypes or examples are going to go a long way. Here's how to reach the application. It's probably fairly straightforward or well known. If you have relationships with licensing or biz dev folks, of course, reach out to them and ask them about it. We're super proud to have a certain amount of blog postings and videos online, so you can always search for more information or write into your relationships within Epic Games to learn more. We encourage you to apply. We encourage you to ask questions. We want to help you succeed. We're super appreciative that you're here today and that you're participating. And what I'll do now is go on mute, where I can be in a position to take your questions, address anything that you'd like me to go deeper on, or just give a little bit more direction and guidance as you explore the MegaGrant process. I want to say thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I will now open the floor for questions.